to Whispers in the Static, the channel where we delve into the darkest corners of the supernatural. I'm your host Jack, here to bring you another tale of horror and mystery. How are you all doing tonight? I hope you're safe, sound, and ready for a story that will chill you to the bone. Tonight's story is titled The Bloom of Decay, originally written by the talented Ulcered. For those who want to read the original text, a link will be provided in the description below. And for our new listeners, if you enjoy what you hear, please hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss a new episode. Now, without further ado, let's dim the lights and begin our story. It's been a month since the incident, a tragedy that will be seared into my memory for the rest of my life. My name is Ava. I work as an escort on the grimy fringes of Los Angeles. No one forced me into this life. I chose it. There was a certain freedom in it, a release, a satisfaction I couldn't find anywhere else. But now I wonder if this is some kind of cosmic payback, a karma I can no longer escape. From the soles of my feet to the skin on my face, a rash of tiny, tightly packed sores has appeared. If I scratch them, they weep a thick, foul-smelling fluid deep inside the crater of each sore. A tiny white maggot squirms. The itching is constant, a maddening blend of pain and irritation. The sores look like a honeycomb, but the holes are smaller, perfectly round, and infinitely more sinister. This story is just beginning. This is how it all happened. I'm starting to accept that I might die alone like this. My parents disowned me when they found out about my illness. I contracted this curse from a client, a man I met on the edge of the city. "What's your rate for an hour?" The message from the man read, popping up on a discreet, encrypted messaging app. I replied quickly, 1,000 for the premium service. He had already booked a room at a cheap motel by the freeway. When the man, who called himself Brandon, took off his shirt, I saw them. Below his navel, there were dozens, maybe hundreds, of those same small, tightly packed holes marring his skin. But I had already taken his money. What could I do? I had a job to do. Even as the faint, sickly sweet smell of pus filled the room, I had to see it through. Afterward, Brandon tossed a few crisp $100 bills onto the rumpled sheets. "For your trouble," he mumbled, then left. I gathered the money and got ready to head back to my studio apartment. On the ride back, I was scrolling through my phone, browsing social media, when I saw a post from an old acquaintance on Facebook. "R.I.P. my friend, Brandon." The words made my heart stop. I clicked on the photo. It was a picture from his funeral service. "My God," I whispered, my phone clattering to the floor of the rideshare. Who was the man I was just with? Was it just someone who looked like him? A ghost? But the name, the face, they were the same. When I got back to my apartment, a wave of that same putrid, rotten smell hit me as I stood in front of my door. It was the exact scent from the motel room, the smell of my client. A shiver ran down my spine, and I rubbed my arms, trying to ward off the sudden, icy chill. After I showered and got ready for bed, the smell returned, seeping into my small apartment. It was so overpowering my appetite vanished. I couldn't fight the wave of nausea that washed over me. I ran to the bathroom and threw up into the toilet. When I looked down, my blood ran cold. The vomit was writhing with maggots. Panic seized me. I rushed back to the shower, frantically trying to wash myself clean, when I felt a sudden gush of warmth between my legs. Blood, dark and thick, was streaming down my thighs, as heavy as a period. "But I just had my period last week," I said to my reflection, my voice trembling. What was this? The next day, I went to a clinic. The doctor told me I had a severe irritation and that I should abstain from any sexual contact for a few weeks. But I had a booking that night, and the client had already sent the deposit. When I got back to my apartment after the doctor's visit, I went straight to the bathroom. Strangely, the bleeding had stopped completely. There was no pain. "Thank God," I whispered with a smile. "Looks like I can have some fun tonight after all. My friends and I want to book you together. Can you handle that?" The text message came through the app. "No problem," I replied. "I've had requests like that before. I enjoy it. Okay, we'll see you at the hotel." In the bathroom of the lavish hotel suite they'd booked, I was touching up my makeup and using a special cleansing spray to stay fresh and fragrant. That's when I saw it, just below my navel. The same pinprick dots I'd seen on Brandon's body were appearing on my own skin. Oh no, what is this? I whispered, biting my finger. What if they started to smell? Sweetheart, are you ready for us? One of the clients called from the other room. Just a minute, I called back. Luckily, I'd brought a pair of nude-colored stockings. I slipped them on, hoping they would cover the marks. I doused myself in my most expensive perfume, praying it would mask any potential odor. After a long session, the night's work was done. They hadn't seemed to notice the smell of decay creeping from beneath my skin. Thankfully, they only ripped the stockings and never took them completely off. I was still in the hotel room. I must have fallen asleep, exhausted from the night's exertions. When I woke up, I felt something damp beneath me. I checked the sheets. It was black, viscous blood. Oh God, what now? The smell was worse than ever, a thick stench of rot. I ran to the bathroom, and what I saw in the mirror made me scream. The dots had multiplied, spreading across my lower stomach, and they were weeping a clear, slimy fluid. At the same time, the dark, black blood continued to seep from me. What is happening to me? I panicked, scrubbing at the sores with antibacterial soap, but the more I washed, the more they burned. As I frantically tried to clean myself, I heard a soft knock at the hotel room door. Who is it? I called out, my voice shaking. There was no answer. Ignoring it, my attention returned to the horrifying sores, which were now turning an angry red from my rough scrubbing. An intense, maddening itch started between my legs. It was unbearable. Without thinking, I scratched, my long nails tearing at my own flesh. I felt weak, dizzy. I decided to just stay the night in the hotel, even with the foul-smelling black bloodstains on the bed. A wave of exhaustion washed over me, so heavy I couldn't control it. I collapsed onto the floor, my body giving out. In that hazy state between waking and sleeping, my eyes were only half closed. I could still hear. I watched as the black blood on the white sheets began to coalesce, rising from the fabric and pooling into a single, dark mass. The blood then shifted, molding itself into the shape of a man. It looked just like Brandon. I missed you, Ava, the Brandon figure hissed, a cruel smirk on its face. I was powerless, unable to move, only able to watch in terror. Such a beautiful body, it whispered, its voice a low growl. A shame you use it to please so many men. It began to touch me, its hands cold as the grave, its kisses hungry and brutal. My body felt paralyzed, dead to my own commands. But as its lips moved over me, something twisted inside me. Instead of fear, a perverse sense of pleasure began to bloom. I wasn't scared anymore. I was enjoying it. I was enjoying every touch from this monstrous thing. As we were locked in this macabre embrace, I looked up at the face above me. For a moment, it wasn't Brandon anymore. It was a hulking, hairy black creature with blazing red eyes. What's wrong, darling? The creature purred, its voice shifting back to Brandon's. My mouth wouldn't work. I couldn't speak. Every time I tried to regain control, to fight back, its touch would send waves of debilitating pleasure through me, rendering me helpless again. After what felt like an hour, I suddenly woke up. I was alone in the room. Even the black blood on the sheets had dried into the fabric. Dawn was breaking outside. I quickly ordered a car to take me home. During the ride, I caught the driver's eyes in the rearview mirror. He kept staring at me with a strange, puzzled expression. When I got to my block, some of my neighbors were out, buying produce from a local farmer's market truck. As I approached to say hello, they visibly recoiled, turning away from me. I decided not to greet them after all. I'd always been discreet about my work. They couldn't know I was an escort. Why were they treating me like this? Did someone tell them? But who? I walked past them, and as I did, I saw them covering their noses. One woman even gagged right in front of me. Ava, why do you smell so rotten? She exclaimed. What are you talking about? I just came from work, a long shift, so maybe I'm a little sweaty. Maybe you're the one who stinks. I shot back, pointing at her. Who wouldn't be furious, being humiliated in public like that? When I opened my apartment door, that same rotten smell flooded my senses again. I immediately threw up on the floor. What is that dead animal smell? I heard one of the neighbors shout from outside. Forget them, I muttered to myself. They're probably just jealous. They wish they had my face and body. They can't afford the expensive skincare I use. I went to take a shower. When I pulled down my underwear, more black blood trickled out. Around my thighs, a crop of new black bumps had sprouted, dense and rough, like the skin of a pineapple. After my shower, I decided to go back to the clinic. "It seems you're having a severe allergic reaction, Miss Ava," the doctor said. "An allergic reaction? To what? How is this possible? We'll need to take a sample for the lab. Once we get the results, I can give you a clearer picture." "Okay, doctor. Thank you." He handed me a piece of paper with illegible scribbles on it, and I took it to the nurse at the front desk. As I handed it to her, her eyes widened in shock. I wondered what she was thinking to be staring at me like that. Whatever. Because of this allergy, I decided to deactivate my work profile on the app for a few weeks. Thankfully, I had a healthy 6-figure balance in my bank account. "I'll just take a vacation," I decided, picturing myself on a beautiful beach, the kind that attracts tourists from all over the world. I ignored the doctor's advice to avoid contact with people for fear of the allergy spreading. I figured some expensive perfume and thick clothing would be enough to cover the smell of pus from the growing number of black bumps. But as I was booking a flight, a call came through from an unknown number. "So annoying," I grumbled, but as I went to decline it, my phone answered the call by itself. A deep baritone voice chuckled on the other end. "You think you can get away from me, my little pleasure toy?" He was holding back his laughter, but the menace was clear. Then, the line went dead. "Who are you? Who is this?" I didn't care. I needed to get ready for my trip. In the taxi, the driver kept looking at me again. "He probably thinks I'm beautiful," I told myself. But halfway to the airport, he pulled over. "I'm sorry, ma'am," he said, not looking at me. "I really am, but you'll have to find another cab." "What the hell? I booked this ride. You can't just kick me out in the middle of nowhere." "I'll refund your money. Again, I'm truly sorry." I got out of the car, slamming the door. The driver's face was pale, like he was trying not to be sick. I ordered another car and waited by the side of the road. A food truck was parked nearby. "Hey, can I get $10 worth of tacos?" I said, walking up to it. But instead of being happy for the business, the vendor stared at me, pinching his nose shut. "Forget it," I yelled, stomping my foot in frustration. Just then, my phone rang. It was the same unknown number. This time, I answered it. "Hello? Who is this?" "If you want to be cured, come meet me," the deep voice said. I paused. Who was this person? How did they know I was sick? "Fine," I said. "I'll meet you." I canceled my trip and my hotel reservation. A moment later, a text message arrived with an address. It instructed me to come alone. Okay. At exactly 7 p.m., I arrived at the address. It was a strange, unsettling place. The middle of an old, forgotten cemetery. Whatever, I thought, my desperation overriding my fear. Maybe this person can actually cure me. I looked around the overgrown cemetery. There was no one there, just rows of crumbling ancient headstones. As I was about to leave, a voice called out my real, given name, the one no one had used in years. The voice was so loud it sent a flock of crows scattering into the sky. "Who are you? How do you know my name? Who I am isn't important. What's important is that I have something to tell you." "What is it?" "You have been claimed by a demon, one that takes the form of the dead." Was it true? I remembered the late Brandon, how he had the same sores I did. It had to be him. He was the one who did this to me. How do I get rid of this? How can I be cured? "You must stop your work. Go back to your family." I fell silent. If I went home, I would just be humiliated all over again. And if I quit my job, how would I have fun? How would I make money? "I want to be cured," I said finally, "but I don't want to change my life." "Then I am the only one who can cure you," said a man stepping out from behind a large mausoleum. He was tall, dressed all in black, but as I moved toward him, a sudden, fierce wind kicked up, and a thick fog rolled in. When it cleared, the man was gone. I went back to my apartment, confused but determined. I had to be cured. I had to get back to being an escort. As I lay in my apartment, lost in thought, an idea came to me. A psychic, a spiritualist. Yes, one of them could surely help me. As I was drifting off to sleep, I smelled that cloying, sweet scent of decay again, and just like before, my body became paralyzed. I couldn't move, couldn't speak. From the darkest corner of my room, a shadowy figure emerged. "I'm back, my love," a terrifying voice whispered. It was the same creature I'd seen in the hotel. Look at you, so beautiful, so enchanting. I can't resist you. My eyes were wide with terror, but as he stepped into the moonlight from my window, his face changed. He was no longer a monster, but an incredibly handsome man. I was speechless, unable to say a word. He kissed my body, from the tips of my toes to my lips, and stupidly, the fear vanished, replaced by a raw, carnal desire. I was enjoying the intimate touch of this man. Please, I moaned. I can't take it anymore. My body was moving on its own, responding to his touch. When he saw the sores between my legs, he didn't recoil in disgust. Instead, his eyes widened as if he were looking at a delicacy. He immediately began to lick the area. Ah, I gasped, my fingers tangling in his hair, and strangely, everywhere his tongue touched, the festering, tightly packed sores disappeared. I was shocked, and then I lost consciousness, overwhelmed by the pleasure he gave me. That night became the longest night of my life, a blur of sensation and ecstasy. At 2 a.m., our frenzy finally subsided. We were lying in each other's arms. "If you don't mind me asking," I whispered, "what's your name?" "My name is Brandon, or Caleb, or whatever you want it to be." "What do you mean? I am not human, nor am I a demon." "But I am in love with you," he replied, his gaze hypnotic. His deep voice sent shivers down my spine, reigniting my desire. As we stared into each other's eyes, I saw that his pupils were unnaturally large. In their black depths, I could see my own reflection. But in the reflection, my face was covered in those round, weeping sores. I scrambled out of bed and rushed to a mirror, but when I looked, my face was clear, more beautiful and smooth than ever. Was it just my imagination? As the man I now called Caleb, and I began to make love for a second time, the atmosphere in the room changed. The air grew thick with the smell of sweet, decaying flowers. Then, in the distance, I heard the faint sound of early morning church bells. The man's form dissolved into a column of black smoke with 2 glowing red dots, and vanished. The shock of it caused me to faint. I was woken by the ringing of my phone. As I opened my eyes, my entire body ached. It was a struggle just to sit up. "Ava," I answered, my voice hoarse. "Hey girl," a familiar voice said. "I have a client for you. A couple of them, actually. Rich old guys. You interested?" "Yeah, definitely," I replied, my face still twisted in pain from the aching below my navel and in my legs. "Great. Meet us at the mall. We can do some shopping first." "Okay, I'll be there," I said. To be honest, I was sometimes left unsatisfied with just one man, but with Caleb, with him, I felt a sensation I'd been searching for my entire life. In the bathroom, I checked my body. I looked at the spot where the round, tightly packed sores had been. They were gone. Did Caleb's saliva heal them? Questions swirled in my mind, but I pushed them away. All that mattered was that I was free to enjoy another beautiful night. At the mall, I met up with the 2 older men. "Let's get you something nice," one of them, a man named Mr. Harrison, whispered in my ear. "Whatever you want, darling," he said, licking his lips and staring at my body. "Just pick something out." But as I reached for a designer handbag I'd always wanted, a sharp slap cracked across my face. "So this is the cheap whore," a woman spat, clutching a branded handbag of her own, the very one I dreamed of. The store went silent. Mr. Harrison froze, not saying a word. "It must be nice," the woman continued, her voice dripping with venom. "All you have to do is spread your legs, and you get everything you want." Suddenly, Caleb's voice was in my ear. "Whatever you want to happen to this woman, I will make it so." "I want her dead," I said out loud, my voice ringing through the silent store, not caring about the 100 pairs of eyes on me. I glared at the old woman and whispered in her ear, "You'll regret that." "How dare you," she started, raising her hand to slap me again. But her body went rigid. Her eyes rolled back in her head. A moment later, she turned and sprinted out of the store, straight into the busy street. Screech. Crunch. She was hit by a massive semi-truck. Everyone screamed. Panic erupted. But I just felt a deep, satisfying sense of power. Caleb's voice was still a warm whisper in my ear. I simply smiled and walked away as police began to swarm the scene. "My power is your power," his voice cooed. "My love for you is absolute, and my lust is for you," I whispered back, biting my lower lip, While everyone else was in chaos, I calmly walked to another store. Mr. Harrison, still in shock, did not move to help his wife. "I'll buy it for you," he stammered. "I want that one," I said, pointing to the expensive bag. "Fine, take it." Life was so beautiful. Anything I wanted, I could have. As Mr. Harrison's car passed a small church, that foul, rotten smell suddenly returned, seeping from my sores. He quickly covered his nose. I pretended to do the same so he wouldn't know the smell was coming from me. My sores were starting to come back, big and tight. When we arrived at the hotel he'd booked, I saw someone from my past that made me freeze. "Noah," I whispered, seeing my ex-boyfriend. He was working as a staff member at the hotel. I was torn. Should I go in? I was so ashamed to be seen with this old man. "I'll be right up," I told Mr. Harrison. "I'm just gonna grab a drink. Don't worry about it. Room service will bring something up." I could only look down, pulling on a face mask and sunglasses as we walked past him. But as I passed Noah, I saw him flinch, like he was trying not to gag. He could smell me, even when no one else could. Noah's eyes locked onto mine, and his expression was one of pure shock, as if he'd seen a ghost. Fearing others would see me and smell the decay, I hurried towards the room. "He's a righteous man," Caleb's voice whispered in my ear. "He is not for you. You should stay away from a man like that," Caleb warned me again. A voice from behind me stopped me in my tracks. "Ava." It was Noah. "What do you want?" I snapped, not turning around, but Noah kept following me. "Ava, come back home," he pleaded. "Your parents miss you. Don't work with demons. Stay out of my life, you hear me? I am never going home. And another thing, stay away from me." "God forgive you," Noah whispered, his voice fading behind me. Later that night, in my apartment, I had a dream. I saw the old man from the cemetery. "You have fallen into the devil's trap," he said. "If you continue this work, you will be slowly consumed by him." "I don't care. It's my life, so stay out of it." I woke up with a start. The smell of rotten blood and pus filled the room. I looked down and saw the black blood stains on my sheets again. My body was overcome with an intense itching. I scratched, from my stomach all the way down to my feet. The bumps, big, round, and dense, were multiplying. As I scratched, they made a sickening popping sound. White, fat maggots squirmed out of every hole on my body, more and more of them covering my sheets. I screamed in terror and revulsion. The itch spread upwards, to my chest, my neck. More maggots emerged. I couldn't feel anything anymore. I stumbled into the bathroom and filled the tub with scalding hot water. Without thinking, I submerged myself in it. The burning heat and the maddening itch warred against each other. My skin turned bright red, and the flesh on my face began to peel away. "No, I don't want to die," I panicked. From the corner of the bathroom, I smelled the sweet, decaying scent again. Caleb. "I will heal you," his voice echoed. His form was still a black, swirling smoke with two red lights for eyes. In my panic, he lifted me from the tub. His touch was warm. I slowly opened my eyes. I was in a strange, beautiful house, lying naked on a soft bed. I looked down at my body. It was flawless. I jumped up, giddy with relief. I looked around for Caleb, but he was nowhere to be seen. Then I heard the sound of a baby crying, followed by a sharp, slicing noise that silenced it. Switching to Noah's perspective. "Ava," I said, holding her soft, white hand. "I'll be back soon. I'll be waiting. But don't take too long," she laughed. My relationship with Ava had been going on for 2 years. "Our Father, who art in heaven." After my morning prayers, I knelt and asked for guidance, for an honest living. "Thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Amen." At 7 a.m., sharp, I was at the train station, heading to Los Angeles for a new job I'd landed as a hotel attendant. As I was about to board, an old man grabbed my hand. I looked at him and asked, "Can I help you, sir?" But the old man said nothing. He just stared at me, then let go of my hand and walked away. That was strange, I thought, rubbing the red mark his grip had left on my wrist. A month passed. I tried calling Ava and my family often, but Ava never once answered my calls. I started to get a bad feeling. What was happening back home? After working for 2 straight months, I got 3 days off. I used the opportunity to go back and find out why Ava had been ignoring me. When I arrived in my hometown, everyone looked at me with an expression I couldn't quite place. "Noah, You're home." The beautiful voice was my mother's. After a long-awaited reunion, I told them I was going to visit Ava. "Don't go there, son," my father said sternly. "Why not? What's wrong?" My father looked furious. "Dad, Mom, you both approved of our relationship. I'm calling off your plans to marry her." "But why? What's the reason?" She's no longer pure. She was assaulted by 3 unknown men on her way home from dropping you at the station." My heart shattered. I was frozen, unable to speak. "No, it doesn't matter what happened," I finally said, my voice thick with emotion. "I still love her, and it's my fault. She was attacked because of me." The guilt was a physical weight in my chest. When I went to her parents' house, they told me they had kicked her out. I broke down, crying and pulling at my hair. This was all my fault. I would always love her, no matter what. My leave was up, and I had to return to LA to work. But then, I saw her, a face and form that looked just like my beloved Ava. I thanked God for bringing us back together, but my relief was short-lived. She rejected me. The Ava I knew was gone, replaced by a woman in revealing clothes, on the arm of a man old enough to be her grandfather. What had happened to her? Had she really resorted to selling her body to men like that? Worse, I could feel a dark aura around her, and her body emanated a faint smell of rot and decay. I could sense something with her, something that wasn't human. "Ava, no matter what, I will fight for you. I will bring you back to the right path." That night, as I was about to sleep, I felt that same dark aura approaching my room, and then I saw it, a clump of black smoke with 2 red dots floating above my bed. "Forget Ava," it hissed. "She belongs to me now. She is my concubine. If you interfere, I will kill you." "I will never be afraid of a creature like you," I said, staring it down. "I fear only God." I began to recite the Lord's Prayer, my eyes fixed on the black smoke. As I finished the prayer, the creature shrieked and vanished. "Oh God, she has fallen into a demon's trap. I have to find her. I have to bring her back. I promise myself, only death will stop me from guiding you back to the light, Ava." Ava's perspective. "Caleb, what are you doing?" I screamed, watching as he sliced his wrist open, letting drops of his black blood fall into a baby's mouth. "I'm feeding him," he said calmly, his gaze soft. Caleb's form wasn't monstrous at all. He was handsome, muscular, with a hint of a seductive beard. "Come here, my love," he said, approaching me and lifting me into his arms like a child. "You must stay with me." His deep, almost hypnotic voice made my ears tingle. "I'm nothing to you," I said, turning away from him but smiling slyly, knowing he would embrace me again. And he did. He pulled me close, his eyes locking with mine. "You are everything. I love you, my darling," Caleb whispered, then crushed his lips to mine. His touch was so intense, it felt like I was floating. But his touch was interrupted by a sound I knew all too well, the distant ringing of church bells. I opened my eyes. Above me was not the handsome man, but a swirling mass of black smoke with blood-red eyes and long fangs. Its lips were black and peeling. I screamed with all my might. I had never seen Caleb look so horrifying. "Ava! Ava, wake up!" A thunderous voice echoed in my ears. I was still terrified, afraid to look at Caleb's face. "Ava, come with me." I opened my eyes. The beautiful, lavish room and the soft bed were gone. I was lying on a pile of dry leaves in the middle of a dense bamboo forest. "Ava," Noah said, his voice strained as he pulled me away from that terrifying place. We were in the middle of a dense forest, far from the city. "Noah, how did you find me?" I prayed to God. I asked for a sign. "Thank God I found you, and you're okay." He hugged me tightly, but then slowly let go. "Go back home, Ava, to your mother." "I will never go home. Not now, not ever." I pushed Noah away and turned my back on him. "But why are you rejecting me like this, Ava?" "I will never answer that question." "Is it because you're not a virgin anymore?" Noah's words felt like a knife in my heart. Even if I told him the truth, he would never accept it. My heart ached, remembering what had truly happened. It was impossible to tell him that it was my own stepfather who had violated me, who had threatened to kill me if I ever told anyone. "Go away," I said, my voice cold. "I don't want you near me." His eyes widened in disbelief. "Until death do us part, Ava," Noah said, his voice breaking. "I will never give up on bringing you back to me. I will accept all of you, the good and the bad." His words tore my heart apart, but then, his father's words echoed in my mind. "I will never accept someone who is no longer pure as my daughter-in-law." That was what made me feel so ashamed, so unworthy of being Noah's wife. "If you can't be my partner," Noah's voice cracked, on the verge of tears, "at least let me be your friend." I couldn't hold back my own tears any longer. I choked back my sobs, trying to keep him from hearing me cry. Noah and I went our separate ways. I left first, in a taxi I'd ordered. It was agony not to look back at the man I loved more than anything. "He's not yours anymore," a voice in my head whispered. "You're too tainted for him." The thought was like a punch to the gut. My sobs became uncontrollable as I remembered our promises, our shared dreams, and I remembered the face of the man who had destroyed my future. My hatred for him would never fade. It was him and his two friends, my own uncles, and my stepfather. My mother married him when I was 3. I only found out he wasn't my biological father when he came home drunk one night and confessed everything. "Why don't you just ask me to avenge you?" Caleb's voice whispered in my left ear. "Make him regret it," I whispered back, my voice low and filled with venom. "Make him tell my mother what he did to me." Hatred and a thirst for revenge clouded my judgment. "As you wish," Caleb's voice purred softly, and then the scent of decaying flowers slowly faded. My tears were no longer tears of sadness, but of rage and vengeance. Lying in my room, exhausted, I thought about what had just happened, how I'd harshly rejected Caleb. I felt a pang of regret. Instead of being afraid, I was starting to see him as my protector, my savior. "I know what's in your heart, my love." I turned. Caleb was already there, watching me, in his handsome human form. "You're very good at getting into my room without knocking," I said wryly. "Don't you want to hear what happened when I visited your old home? Tell me, what happened there?" "I took on your form and approached your stepfather. It turns out he still has quite the appetite for you. And if he had tried something, I would have made him feel what it's like to be in your body," he said, then pulled me into a fierce embrace, his mouth covering mine. I felt that savage, carnal desire I craved once more. His kisses were different this time, a heady mix of passion and possession. It was going to be another long night. His soft groans and ragged breaths left me helpless. "Even if you try to leave me, you never can," Caleb panted, our bodies moving in a brutal rhythm. "What if I don't want to leave you?" I teased, my voice breathless. "Then you will be mine forever. Only death will separate us." His voice grew deeper, our breathing labored. The room, once smelling of decay, now filled with the fragrance of 100 different flowers. But the thing I hated most was that as soon as the church bells rang for morning prayer, Caleb would leave, only to return after 10 p.m. "Stay with me," I pleaded. "But if I don't work, I won't have any money." "That is a small problem for me. As long as you are with me, any amount of money or jewelry you desire, I will provide." "Is that true? Look under your pillow." I lifted my pillow. My God, stacks of $100 bills, neatly bundled. "All right," I said, wrapping my arms around his muscular body. "I'll quit my job. I'll work only for you." "Good. And remember, make that man who worships you suffer a slow death." His voice, emphasizing the word death, made Caleb smile. I would gladly torture a man like that. Today, I would quit being an escort. I would move into a proper apartment. "And don't look at me in the mirror." Caleb's voice suddenly changed as I was about to look at his reflection. "Why not, darling? If you see me in a mirror, you will see my true form. So, just look at me directly." "I like looking at you with my own eyes," I purred, turning to kiss his soft pink lips. It was 2 a.m., but Caleb and I were still locked in our lovemaking. My libido had skyrocketed since I'd been with him. "What happened to that man, my stepfather? Tell me everything. I want to hear it. He will continue to see my true form, and I will make him confess everything to your mother. Tell her that he was the one who defiled you. I will make him lose his mind." Caleb's voice grew deeper, more brutal, as the clock ticked past 3 a.m. "I will." His voice, which started as a seductive whisper, turned into a growl that made me surrender completely to whatever he did to me. His sweet lips were always on mine, his kisses relentless. My neck and chest were covered in red marks. By 3:25 a.m., Caleb's true form began to show, even as he was still on top of me. I started to feel afraid. His once beautiful eyes were now round and glowing red. His voice became a deep growl as he reached his climax. When the first rooster crowed, Caleb's transformation was complete. I squeezed my eyes shut, terrified. At exactly 4 a.m., his form dissolved into black smoke with a flowery scent. Exhausted, I fell into a deep sleep. At 9 a.m., my eyes slowly opened. It was morning. A sharp, throbbing pain radiated from between my legs, and my body smelled like pus. With all my strength, I dragged myself to the bathroom to clean myself. For a long time, I stared at my reflection, then smiled. I must be so beautiful in his eyes for him to be so crazy about me, I thought with a small laugh. The pain in my lower abdomen intensified until I couldn't bear it. My vision blurred, and the world seemed to tilt. Then, everything went dark. When I opened my eyes, I was in a strange room. I looked around. A hospital. But who brought me here? Thank God you're awake. A voice I could never forget. It was Noah. How did you know I was sick? That I was at home? I just have a feeling. I can sense things when it comes to you. Noah's answer only confused me more. Why was he always there when I needed help? Even as Noah tried to hide it, I could see him subtly covering his nose from time to time. It was so strange. Why was he the only one who could smell the rot from my body? None of my clients ever noticed. Not even the doctors saw or smelled my sores. Only Noah. The smell of the sores would only appear when the church bells rang. When people went to pray, I would have to isolate myself. The smell would emerge, and my body would turn red and itch uncontrollably, leaving nail marks all over my skin. The more I scratched, the more the small, round sores would appear, and soon, the small white maggots would emerge from their holes. Only Caleb could heal me. Please, go away, I said to the person I once loved most in the world. No, Ava. Not until you're willing to turn away from that dark creature. Noah's words made my eyes widen. How did he know Caleb was with me? Could he see him too? I can see a black aura enveloping you. It's so dark. I can heal you, without you having to feed on a demon's blood. Noah stared at me intently. Was it true? Was Caleb's blood the cure? My mind was in chaos. How did Noah know everything I had done? It was Caleb who gave you this disease. He possessed your uncles and your stepfather to assault you. You've been manipulated by the whispers of an evil spirit, Ava. Noah looked dead serious. How do you know all of this? I saw it all in a dream. When I prayed for you, Ava, I couldn't accept Noah's explanation. How could I trust his dream? It was probably just a nightmare. Stay out of my business. Go away. Just go. Fine. If you need proof, you have to drink this. Noah handed me a bottle of mineral water. I didn't move. Noah turned and left the room. I couldn't just believe him. It was probably all a trick to get me to leave Caleb. I took the bottle and poured all the water down the sink. Can you sit down for a moment? The doctor who was treating me asked. Ma'am, you have a severe inflammation in your groin area, and there are many scratch marks on your body. I strongly advise you to refrain from any sexual intercourse. The doctor's words made me anxious. How could I stay away from Caleb's strong body? After a night in the hospital, I took a taxi home. As soon as I walked into my apartment, Caleb's signature scent filled the air. Where are you? I miss you so much. Right here, my love, his deep voice said from behind me. He was completely naked, his muscular body and six-pack on full display. Please, I said, looking at his abs. I'm sick right now, so I can't serve you tonight. I laid down on the bed, but when I blinked, my room transformed into a lavish, magnificent chamber, fit for a king and queen. What is this? Where have you taken me? I asked, completely bewildered. We are in my realm, my love. Caleb's warm hands wrapped around my waist, his warm body pressing against my back, sending shivers up my spine. But I couldn't do anything. When I turned around, all my clothes had vanished. He was staring at the area between my legs with wild eyes. I looked down. To my surprise, the pain and soreness I'd felt were completely gone. He pulled my body close, as if I were his dinner. His wild kisses and licks made me forget all my pain and exhaustion from the hospital. Caleb knew all my favorite spots, and he knew exactly what I wanted from his movements. My desire became unbearable as he started to lick my lower abdomen. The acts of a husband and wife resumed, lasting until dawn. But when I woke up, Instead of feeling cured, my pain was worse than ever. The foul smell from my sores was everywhere, not just when the church bells rang, but all the time. I suddenly felt nauseous. With the last of my strength, I stumbled out of bed and vomited on the floor. What I saw made me panic. Maggots. My vomit was full of maggots. The nausea was overwhelming. I ran to the bathroom and vomited again, so much more this time. Huge maggots came out of my mouth, mixed with a thick, green slime. The putrid smell was suffocating. I collapsed onto the floor, unable to think. Could this disease be cured? My thoughts were chaotic, and I remembered Noah's words from yesterday. Was Caleb really what he said he was? No, that's impossible. Caleb isn't evil. He's the only one who knows what I want. Help me! I cried out, my voice filled with agony, but there was no response. Then, I heard a knock on the door. Ava? It's me, Noah. Slowly, I made my way to the door and opened it. Noah's face froze as he looked at me, his eyes scanning me from head to toe. Then he started to cry. My God, Ava, what has he done to you? Noah's soft voice made me freeze. He reached out to take my hand, but I slapped it away. Why are you still here? I told you, I don't want anything to do with you. I yelled at him, but Noah was insistent. He pushed past me into the apartment, grabbed a blanket, and wrapped me in it, carrying me to his car. I was in a daze, too weak to resist. In the car, Noah called his uncle, a man named Pastor Evans. Hello, Uncle. Ava and I are on our way to your house. We'll be there soon. But halfway there, I smelled that sweet, decaying scent of flowers again. I frantically looked around for the source. The smell was following the car. Is that Caleb? I thought. I won't let him hurt you again, Noah said, his voice firm. How do you know? You didn't know I can sense and see supernatural beings, did you? I thought he was just bluffing. How could he possibly know? Pastor Evans' house was part of a large church complex. As we got closer, I started to feel sick, nauseous, and dizzy. I didn't want to go inside, but Noah forced me, even carrying me in his arms. I don't want to go, I screamed. As soon as we crossed the threshold of Pastor Evans' house, I fainted. In my sleep, I saw Caleb standing before me, his eyes blazing with anger. I healed you, he snarled. And this is the thanks I get? Betrayal? You said you would cure me, but the disease only got worse. You said you would heal me, but I was never cured. My whole body is covered in sores. Look at these small bumps. They're everywhere, and they're all oozing maggots. Give me back my body. Caleb's voice boomed, shaking me from my dream. Look at yourself, Ava. Look at yourself in the mirror. See what the demon you've been sleeping with has done to you, Noah said, holding a large mirror in front of me. When I saw my reflection, I didn't recognize myself. My entire body was covered in holes, swollen and large. My hair was falling out in clumps from the sores on my scalp. I was rail thin, my skin dry and peeling. It wasn't me. That child in your womb is not human. Pastor Evans' voice startled me. As long as you are with that demon, it will only feed on you. Get rid of that demon's child. Get rid of it! I wanted to scream, but a fierce wind suddenly blew the door open. A swirling black mass of smoke appeared in the doorway. You dare try to kill my firstborn? A terrifying voice echoed through the room. The horrifying figure appeared at the door, but it couldn't enter. Pastor Evans was chanting something and blew towards the door. Your relationship is forbidden, Pastor Evans said, standing and walking towards the door. The black figure was Caleb. She chose this path herself. Caleb's voice boomed. She hated her life. She hated her prayers. She even hated God and blamed him for everything that happened to her. So, why are you still trying to free her from my grasp? I will bring her back to the right path, Noah's voice was firm. I will marry her, care for her, and guide her to be faithful only to God. I take refuge in the Lord of mankind, the King of mankind, the God of mankind, from the evil of the whisperer who withdraws, who whispers into the breasts of men, from among the jinn and mankind. Pastor Evans recited a verse I had long forgotten. As he finished, Caleb's form vanished. If you still think about him, Pastor Evans said, no matter how strong my power is to break your bond with him, it will fail, because you are not truly committed. They covered my body in a poultice of green leaves and washed me with blessed water. The burning heat in my body subsided. "I'll take you to the women's dormitory," Noah said with a kind smile. "You can rest there." I was silent, still in a daze, slowly processing what had just happened. But as Noah was leading me to the dormitory, his body was suddenly thrown backwards, crashing hard against the ground. Blood gushed from his mouth. I screamed, watching the horror unfold before my eyes. "Noah!" I cried, cradling his bloody head. "Pastor Evans, please help!" My screams finally reached the pastor. A few hours later, at the hospital, a doctor approached us. "I'm sorry. We did everything we could. Mr. Noah didn't make it." The doctor's words made my world collapse. I fell to my knees, weak and numb. I remembered his last words to me. "I will protect her, bring her back to the right path, and I will marry her." I sobbed uncontrollably. I was filled with regret, realizing that all this time it was Noah who had been slowly pulling me back from the filthy world I was in. He taught me the meaning of true love and patience, and now he was gone. What would happen to me? I thrashed and cried, screaming his name. "Let him go, Ava. He is at peace now," Pastor Evans said gently. I then realized that he, too, was trying to save me from danger. I didn't want him to get hurt because of me. I ran out of the hospital, running with no destination in mind. My tears wouldn't stop. My steps faltered when I saw a tall, muscular man walking towards me. He was wearing a black t-shirt and jeans. His hair and trimmed beard were all too familiar. It was Caleb, in his human form. "Hello, my love." His signature deep voice made me freeze in fear. My body was suddenly lifted into the air and I was standing in front of him. "Stop crying, darling." His deep voice shattered my thoughts. When I blinked, everything was different. I was in a magnificent, luxurious house, filled with antiques. "You're in our home, my love. Soon you will be a mother." Caleb approached me, his nose touching mine. His heavy breathing made it hard for me to breathe. His nose moved to my cheek, then to my lips. At first, I didn't respond to his kiss, but his kiss was so passionate, I found myself kissing him back. My voice became ragged. Caleb's pink lips moved to my neck, then my shoulder, and without realizing it, my clothes were on the floor. My whole body was on fire, my lust uncontrollable. I had willingly surrendered my body to that forest demon again. "The more you struggle, the more they will come out of you, my love," he whispered in my ear, his voice heavy, his breathing ragged. It only made me more aroused. The powerful thrusts made me wilder, more unrestrained. But in the midst of our intimacy, I faintly heard Pastor Evans' voice. "Listen to me. Free yourself from that forest demon." The pastor's voice was faint, but as I was about to come to my senses, my body was suddenly lifted and held from the front, even as we were still joined. Caleb's heavy breathing was in my ear again, but once more, Pastor Evans' voice broke my focus. "Remember Noah's sacrifice." Those were the words that stopped my focus on Caleb. I tried to get down from his embrace, but it was useless. I was too small for him. "What's wrong, my love?" Caleb's deep voice confused me. Without me realizing it, my stomach was growing larger. "What's happening?" "You're pregnant with my child, my love." Caleb's voice boomed as his body tensed. "He won't be human like you. He will be like me, and stay with me." "Ah, it hurts." I saw a black, foul-smelling liquid gushing from between my legs. Then, with a powerful push, a small, hairy black creature came out. This happened over and over again, 100 times, until my body was completely limp. Then, I lost consciousness. After that, my ears started ringing. The sound made my head spin. "Ow, it hurts," was all I could say. Slowly, I opened my eyes. I was back in my old apartment. The room was filled with the pungent, sweet smell of decaying flowers. "Caleb, where are you?" I called out, searching for the handsome man in every corner. "I'm here, my love." His deep voice came from behind me. "Why am I here? Isn't your place our home? If you were there, I was afraid you would be scared." "Why, there are many other forest demons coming to welcome the birth of my children." I shuddered. I had just remembered that I was the mother of Caleb's children. Why would I be there? Can't they also change their form like you? That's why I didn't want to take you there. Because they can't. Your pain will be gone after a day of rest. There's jewelry and a lot of money for you there. And it was true. When I lifted the pillow, there were stacks of cash and a box of jewelry. One request, Caleb said. If you buy something with that money, don't take the change. I was silent, not really listening, too mesmerized by the money and jewelry in front of me. Although my body was a little tired, I was excited to go shopping and wear my new jewelry. So I won't be living in this dump anymore, I said with a smirk. I took a taxi, and once again, the driver stopped the car in the middle of the road. His expression was the same as always, trying not to be sick. With a confident stride, I went to a car dealership. I wasn't going to take taxis anymore. After buying a car, I happily drove to the apartment complex I'd seen earlier. I would pay half now and the rest next month. I still had plenty of money left. The money Caleb gave me seemed to be endless. As I passed a church, my car suddenly stopped. I knew that if I stopped here, my body would start to smell of rot and pus again. But my car door was stuck, as if someone was holding it. I panicked as the itching became unbearable. My whole skin felt hot and itchy. My long nails raked across my skin, drawing blood. The tight bumps returned, more numerous than ever, like the skin of a pineapple, but a different color, and with a hole in the middle that oozed maggots. I screamed. My clothes were soaked with blood from my peeling skin. Ava, you will be healed. That voice sounded so much like Noah's. Who's there? I called out, looking around. An old man knocked on my car window and greeted me. Peace be with you. And also with you, I replied, but I still couldn't open the door. Open the car door, the old man said, and it was true. The door opened. The old man helped me out. From his clothes and appearance, he looked like a priest. I have been waiting for you, Ava, the old man said, which surprised me. How did he know me? Noah entrusted me to find you and heal you. Who are you, sir? And what is your connection to Noah? My name is Father Michael. Noah was a former student of mine, and he told me everything about you, so I will carry out his final wish. But I am fine, Father. I tried to deny it, because I knew that anyone who tried to help me would be harmed. First, I want you to think of your mother. How heartbroken she would be if she knew her only child was like this. Second, I want you to get closer to the Almighty. Finally, I want you to realize that the forest demon is the one who made you like this. Father, don't make baseless accusations. It's impossible that Caleb did this to me. He loves me and gives me everything I want. You don't believe me. You should see for yourself what that demon has done to you. Take this and drink it. Use the water to wash your face. The old man spoke while looking at my face. Okay, I'll prove that you're wrong, I said. The car seat was wet with blood and pus, and the foul smell filled my nose. On the way home, I thought hard. It was unlikely that Noah would lie to me, but I couldn't believe that Caleb was the cause of all this. I thought for a long time, and finally decided to do something. It burns, I cried out as I washed my face with the water the old man gave me. I drank it, even though it smelled foul. I vomited a thick green liquid and several maggots. I was silent. If I wanted to live, I had to make a clean break. As I decided to go back home to see my mother, a call came in. The caller ID said, Mom. Hello, Mom, I said, holding back tears. After all these years, she had never called me. Ava, your father has been arrested, and I'm so sorry, child, for not knowing his evil all this time. What do you mean? Your stepfather himself confessed, before he bit his own tongue off and then slit his own throat. My mother was sobbing. I was silent, my mind in turmoil. On one hand, I wanted to hug my mother. On the other, I hated my stepfather so much, even though he was dead. After the call, I stared blankly at the ceiling, then burst out laughing, tears streaming down my face. Are you done? Can I have my turn now? Caleb's voice was close. When I turned, I was already in his lavish room. There, I saw many naked babies. Are those our children? I asked, looking at the hundreds of babies lying on a fur rug. They are your children, Caleb said, hugging me tenderly. It was strange. My heart filled with happiness when I saw these tiny babies, even though deep down, I was terrified. Why don't they look human? I'm not human either. I still couldn't process his words. My body went limp as his tongue touched my skin, his licks covering my entire body. But as he was about to lick my face, Caleb suddenly screamed, "What's that on your face?" he yelled, then looked at me with anger. "What are you talking about?" I asked, half scared. Caleb's red eyes slowly returned to normal. "Don't listen to anyone but me," he said, hugging me. His tender kisses made me happy, but as I was about to make love with him, I saw the old priest, Father Michael, with several other people in the room. "Ava, if you don't get away from him, you won't be safe," the old priest's voice shouted. Caleb became enraged and returned to his true form, a black smoke with red eyes. The old priest recited something, then looked at me. It was then that I finally saw the true form of my children. The babies were horrifying creatures, and the handsome Caleb I knew was a monster. "Look, Ava, he has made you his pleasure slave." "I made her my slave because she was the perfect woman for it," Caleb's voice boomed. "She often sold herself for money, and she never remembered her God. Now I finally understood. I was the pleasure slave of a forest demon. With God's will, I command you to leave." After that, the old priest and his followers recited something. I saw the bodies of my babies burst into flames. I wept, watching the horrifying scene. Caleb's body also disappeared. I knelt, crying. Now I realized how wrong I had been all along, but my body could not be healed. It would be like this forever. Now, I was alone, suffering, waiting for death to take me in this small apartment, alone with my disgusting sores. When I opened my eyes again, I was watching my own body being washed for burial by my mother and the undertaker. My mother's tears made my spectral body ache even more. I regretted everything, so much. From the washing to the funeral service, my body never stopped oozing pus, which stained my white burial shroud yellow. After I was buried, I was still crying. I saw the last people to visit my grave. They were Noah's parents. "May you rest in peace, Ava," they said. "We were wrong all this time. We hated a victim of her own stepfather's crime. Regret always comes at the end. The story ends here." So, what did you all think of that story? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. A huge thank you to all of you for listening to the end. I hope you are all healthy, happy, and successful. A special thanks to the original author for allowing us to adapt this incredible story. May you also be blessed with health, happiness, and success. For our new listeners, please remember to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our latest stories. I apologize for any mispronunciations or mistakes. This is your host, Jack, signing off. Until next time, stay safe and be careful what whispers you listen to in the static. Good night.